There are a lot of questions out there about the Brown Scapular. As a Discalced Carmelite friar, I want to do this short video to share about what is the Brown Scapular, the spirituality of it, and how to enroll in it. A famous 18th century preacher once said, "The scapular is a bonfire set ablaze by a spark from the heart of Mary." The scapular is one of the most powerful sacramentals of the Church. What is a sacramental? It is a blessed or holy object which helps prepare a person to receive fruitfully the grace of God. It serves as a sign and reminder of spiritual realities, and especially to awaken faith. In the book of Acts, the Apostle Paul sent his handkerchief around, and God used it to heal people. God likes using humble, earthly things to give his blessings. The Brown Scapular is a great example of this. The tradition is that in 1251, St. Simon Stock, one of the early leaders of the Carmelites, was praying to Our Lady because certain political and church issues at the time meant that the Carmelite order might not survive. He was begging Mary for some pledge of protection. During this prayer of agony, she appeared to him and presented the Brown Scapular, saying, "This shall be the privilege for you and for all the Carmelites, that anyone dying in this habit shall be saved." So this scapular that I'm wearing right now, it's part of the Carmelite habit. It's the front part of the habit. So this large cloth covering us. This was the original scapular. And the scapular became a sign that Mary would personally make sure anyone who wore it faithfully would never be lost. As time went on, Carmelite friars began cutting little pieces out of their own large scapular to give to the faithful so that they could share in the blessing. Something like this. The Brown Scapular is one of the most approved and encouraged devotions in the Church. Venerable Pius XII said, "It is a sign and guarantee of the protection of Mary, not in small things, but in acquiring eternal life." St. John Paul II said, "It is a synthesis of Carmelite spirituality," and added, "I too have worn the scapular of Carmel over my heart for a long time, out of my love for our common Heavenly Mother, whose protection I constantly experience." To wear the scapular means the person commits themselves to live totally for Jesus through Mary. This might sound strange to some ears, but it is God's way. He chose to come into this world through the Virgin Mary. And in John chapter 19, from the cross, Jesus entrusted his beloved disciple to Mary, saying, "Woman, behold your son. Son, behold your mother." The beloved disciple stands for all of us who have been redeemed. So we all have Mary as our spiritual mother now to help us. The scapular is a sign of the tender love of a mother who clothes her child. It is a memorial of the living presence of Mary in our life. It is a sign of consecration, that we belong to her and that she will help us on every occasion, especially in moments when all seems lost. You know, there are countless stories of how the scapular has been used by God to help people in desperate situations. One woman in deep depression was attempting suicide. After trying to drown herself several times, she realized she was unable to because she was wearing her scapular. Seeing this, she came to trust in God again and eventually became a religious sister. In the 1940s, a Carmelite monastery in Spain was in danger of burning down by a rapidly approaching fire. One of the brothers ran out, took his own scapular, and threw it into the blaze. The fire turned back, and the monastery was spared. Now, to clear up a couple things about the scapular, any Christian can be invested in the scapular. It gives you a share in the Carmelite family. It means you are entrusting your spiritual life to Mary and will try to imitate her each day. This is a typical scapular that I showed you that people wear. Usually it's brown or dark and made of cloth. It can be replaced by a little medal called a scapular medal after you are enrolled. One can be enrolled in the scapular by any designated Carmelite or by any priest or deacon. And you can also wear a scapular without being enrolled and still share in the spirituality. There's a link below to get an enrollment prayer to print out and bring to your priest. Also, we have this great little book from ICS Publications, The Ritual of the Scapular of Mount Carmel, which has some really good information and also has the rite of enrollment in this little book. Now, some people think that you have to pray the rosary each day or abstain from meat on certain days for the scapular devotion. Actually, the scapular promise does not demand any prayers or practices like this. Rather, this is something different. Historically, this was called the Sabbatine privilege, which is connected to the scapular but is not the same thing. The Sabbatine tradition is approved by the Church but is not based on any specific historical event. It is an understanding that Mary will assist the faithful after their death and will soon draw them to their eternal happiness, especially on Saturdays, the day dedicated to her in the Church. To share in the Sabbatine grace, one must commit themselves to living chastity according to their state in life, and then specific traditional practices had been prescribed, like praying the divine office or abstaining from meat on certain days of the week. These practices can be replaced by praying 5 decades of the rosary each day. Again, this Sabbatine tradition is not the same as the scapular promise, nor essential to it, but is a holy practice which complements it. The scapular is to be worn as much as possible, but of course it can be taken off for a shower or other reasonable thing. There's no need to have any scruples about the scapular or kind of get anxious about the details. The brown scapular is a silent prayer through which we share in the prayer of the Carmelites. It is the image of a mother clothing her little child. Every time we put on the scapular, we're reminded that Mary is clothing us with her own virtues and holiness, and so that we can imitate her. When we are in danger, it teaches that we can have a total trust in her protection. And for those in the thick of battle with sin, it's a reminder that Mary is the mother of mercy, that she is the refuge of sinners. The brown scapular means that she will help us on our path to Jesus and that we will never be lost.